spring, 1951, Lynda's 7th birthday. That's Patty Nichols. And red and white is Mollie Thornberry. Minix is there somewhere with some big new teeth. David Thornberry. Meade Miller and Dale Miller are both there. And Beth Jenkins is around in pink. Saw her just a moment ago. That ritual moment, blowing out the candles. And there's Marjorie and Patty Nichols. Oh, big doings they always were, those birthday parties. At least for the first 8 or so years of life. There's Beth. And dear little Lulu in green and little red-headed Rodney. Lucy always manages to have something very feminine. Cherry blossom time, Mollie Thornberry with her mother, Eloise, and little David in Eloise's arms, and in the tree, Rodney. All those years, I haunted the tidal basin and Kenwood in the spring. A very sweet, pensive Lynda. And maybe rather with her little godchild, Lucy. And that tow-headed Mollie. In those days, Lyndon was in the Senate. Mary was his right hand. She used to spend a lot of nights with us. And no doubt this was made on a weekend because her days at the office were very long ones. And Mrs. Johnson came to visit us that spring. Lyndon asked me to take her shopping and buy her the prettiest thing we could, and we did. A very handsome lavender suit, her favorite color, and a big picture hat. And here we are in front of the tile of scarlet roses that divided us from dear Dr. Reed. Mrs. Johnson and I used to go off hunting antiques and ancestors down into the Virginia countryside. And look at the children all dressed up in their matching sister dresses. They were the Easter outfits. Lynda Bird was always Mrs. Johnson's pet. Or so we thought, although she was judiciously silent on admitting any such thing. And there the Thornberrys, our neighbors, had walked over to see us. Look at my hydrangeas. What a gardener I was. The swing in the backyard saw a lot of service, although not as much as Dillman. And out behind us, you see the corn growing? Dr. Reed had a wonderful garden. For years and years behind us there was just a vacant lot, which we rejoiced in covering with gardening. There's Lucy with Mollie and David. And that little red-headed, curly-headed Rodney joins the group. They must have been dressed up for church. Mollie in yellow, Lucy by in blue. And here it is, Lucy's birthday. In 1951, Lucy would have been 4 years old. Another one of those birthday parties at which Lissy Grant and Jenkins and all of us had a good time in the backyard. And here we are down at St. Joe's Island. one of the best vacations the Johnson family ever had. John and Nellie Connolly and their children were along with us. There's Kathleen, there's Lucy. Not big enough to buffet the waves, that slim little girl. John, holding a rather frightened, happy Lucy, a plump Lynda by the side of him. Talk about unexplored shoreline. Little Johnny Connolly. See America first. Nellie Connolly, hamming it up. In her days at the University of Texas, Nellie played in the little theater. She was a star. I can't say as much for this one. The house at St. Joe's Island. Quiet, secluded, private time, full of children and good talks. In the morning, we'd swim. In the afternoon, we'd go rabbit hunting, and we'd sit on the sand dunes, and we'd explore. I remember we found a weather balloon one time, and we saw it way down the beach, a great, big, strange, black contraption, and we wondered if it was something from Mars. It had an otherworld look. And there's a Portuguese man of war. And it was there on the beach that we found the green glass balls that came off of a fisherman's net, heaven knows where. Somebody said they came from Portugal. Somebody else said they came from Japan, and then someone laughed and said the wrong ocean. Birds following the shrimp boats. And there's the palm-dotted island from our boat. And a sun-loving linden. And Nellie, cute and young. She's got a fish. Dreaming of what's to come, Johnny? Our assorted children. And there's the staff. Once more in the backyard at Dillman. You can't beat St. Augustine grass. And here is the Texas picnic, the Texas State Society. And there's Gene Autry with Lynda on one side and Lyndon behind him, Lucy in front. And Lucy's fat, and I think you might find she's lost some teeth. And there is the speaker, bless his heart, wearing the badge of the Texas State Society. Gene Autry and Lyndon greeting the folks. Dale Miller and Mary. Dale always worked hard in the Texas State Society. In the back was C. Sid Richardson. Lyndon was president that year, and in the summer we always had a big picnic. This time it was extra good, a barbecue. There's John Connolly, Mary and Sid Richardson and chow line, Lyndon and Gene Autry, Marjorie Jenkins, and Mrs. Wire, and Tom Clark, and Jean Daniel, wife of Senator Daniel, Mrs. Cabell, Senator and Mrs. Tom Connolly. And all the Jenkins family, at least all that there were then, which is 4. Young Eddie Weisel, down working on a committee. Congressman Bob Pogue, Mrs. Pogue. And Senator McFarland, Mrs. McFarland. He was the leading Democrat in the Senate at that time, and Lyndon was his assistant, as I remember. I think Lyndon must have been whip at that time. Attorney General Herbert Brownell, who was in Eisenhower's cabinet. Lucy is 6. We always celebrated it in the backyard. She's beginning to grow up. The same crowd was there very much. There's Emily Shelton and her little boy Ames. And Lissy Grant and her mother were there, and Beth and little Walter Jenkins and Marjorie. But they're building a house behind 30th Place, and no more will we hear the hoot owls. And the rabbits won't come across to eat our lettuce. There's something gone from the quiet, rural quality.